سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وقوة الأرواح وغذائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم صلاة وسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Bihamdihi ta'ala, we were discussing in regards to the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in that we mentioned that in the initial years the Muslims, after they had accepted Islam, the kuffar in Makkah, they placed a great oppression and great difficulty upon the Muslims. And we mentioned some of the waqi'at, inshallah mentioning one or two additional ones. Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala an, who was one of the great companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he was 19 years of age, he accepted Islam. Initially what happened is उसने एक ख्वाब देखा जिसमें वो क्या देखता है कि बिल्कुल तारीकी है, there's complete darkness, and then he sees the moon rise. And in the brightness of the moon he walks, and during this time he meets three individuals. Of them, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala an, and Sayyidina Zayd ibn Haritha radiallahu ta'ala. Now he remembers this dream, and later when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he announces his prophethood, then Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala, he accepts Islam. वो इस्लाम कबूल करता है. अब वो माँ बाप का फरमाबरदार था. He was very respectful to his parents, especially his mother. He was very, very respectful to his mother. लेकिन क्या होता है, when his mother found out that he had accepted Islam, then she wanted him to leave the religion. So she said to him, कि ये क्या है कि तूने ये मज़हब कबूल किया है? What is this that you have accepted? So at that point, when she realized this, she became so upset that she said, I will not eat, मैं खाऊंगी नहीं, I will not drink until you do not leave this religion. Once you leave this religion, then I will eat, then I will drink, otherwise I will not eat and drink even if I die. मैं मर जाऊंगी लेकिन I will not do this. तो इसमें एक दिन गुजरा, one day and one night. The second day and the second night passed. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed certain verses of the Quran, in specific Surah Luqman, which is Surah number 31 of the Quran, verse number 15. और इस आयत का मफ़हूम ये है कि अगर ये आपसे झगड़ा करे, if they argue with you and they try to take you towards shirk, idol worship, तो उनका नहीं सुनना है. You will not listen to them. Rather follow Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. जब ये आयत नाजिल हुई, Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala, he went to his mother and he said, Oh my mother, you are doing this, लेकिन जान लो that if you had 100 lives and you took each and every single one of them, even then I will not leave this religion. फिर भी मैं ये मज़हब, ये दीन छोड़ने वाला नहीं हूँ. When the mother of Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, she saw how resolute he was, कितना वो firm था, then she abandoned these ideas. Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala an, he would go on to be one of the great companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's mentioned that Sayyidina Sa'd was the first one to draw blood for the sake of Islam. वो एक वादी में इबादत कर रहे थे, इतने में कुफ़ार मक्का वो आए और उनसे झगड़ने लगे. तो Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, there was the jawbone of a camel at the side, उसको उठाया और एक के सर पर मारा और खून बहने लगा. So he was the first one to draw blood for the sake of Islam. Later we will see he was the first one to fire an arrow for the sake of Islam as well. Or सहाबा क्या कहा करते थे हवी से, may my mother abi wa ummi fidaqa ya Rasulullah, may my mother and father be sacrificed for you ya Rasulullah. लेकिन इस सहाबी के बारे में रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने खुद फरमाया abi wa ummi fidaqa ya Sa'd, my mother and my father are for you O Sa'd. This was the maqam of this individual. 19 years of age he accepted Islam. Yes, the first one to draw blood for the sake of Islam, the first one to fire an arrow for the sake of Islam. Then I would be remiss and it would be very, very unfortunate if I did not mention the lives of Sayyidina Yasir, Sayyidina Sumayya and Sayyidina Ammar. क्योंकि Sayyida Sumayya radiallahu ta'ala anha वो इस्लाम की पहली शहीद, she was the first martyr of Islam. तो उसका तो बयान करना पड़ेगा. असल में सैयदना यासिर वो यमन से थे. In total there were 4 brothers. एक गायब हो गया तो उनकी तलाश में ये 3 मक्कतुल मुकर्रमा आए. जब वो न मिला तो 2 वापस चले गए और सैयदना यासिर रदियल्लाहु ताला अन मक्कतुल मुकर्रमा में रहे. बनु मखसूम, which is the tribe of Abu Jahl, उनके साथ business की. They gave him some business, he took care of them, they were very happy. They gave Sayyida Sumayya, who was a slave, in marriage to him. And from them was born a child, Sayyidina Ammar. Later on, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने जब nubuwat का ऐलान किया, Sayyidina Ammar ने, the son, उसने Islam कबूल किया. When his parents, Sayyidina Yasir and Sayyidina Sumayya, they heard, they accepted Islam as well. लेकिन बनु मखसूब बिलखुसूस अबू जहल को गवारा नहीं हुआ. He could not withstand the fact that these people had accepted Islam. तो उन पर इतना जुल्म किया. They oppressed them so much. Sayyida Sumayya radiallahu ta'ala anha, what they would do, they would tie her between 2 camels and they would make a hang in the deserts of Makkatul Mukarramah. आखिर में अबू जहल ने क्या किया, उसने एक नेज़ लिया, he took a spear, and I cannot mention in the masjid उसने क्या किया, where he struck Sayyida Sumayya radiallahu ta'ala anha. लेकिन इससे उसको शहीद कर दिया, and she was given the maqam of shahadat, the first martyr of Islam. The first person to accept Islam was a woman, Sayyida Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. The first person to be martyred in Islam was none other than a woman, Sayyida Sumayya radiallahu ta'ala. This is the maqam Islam gave to the women. Now Sayyidina Yasir, the father, he was beaten so severely that in the course of the beating he left from Islam. Now during all of this, one person who was instrumental, जिन्होंने इस्लाम के लिए बड़ा एहसान किया, it was none other than Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala an. तारीख़ुल खुलफ़ा में लिखा है कि जब सैयदना अबू बकर सिद्दीक ने इस्लाम कबूल किया तो उस वक्त उसके पास 40,000 दीनार थे. He had 40,000 gold coins. Me and my students, we were sat together and we were trying to calculate, okay, in modern money roughly how much would this be? और उस ज़माने में जब हमने calculation किया, it came out to roughly 8 million pounds. Roughly 8 million pounds. अब तो जो है, the currency inflation, the price of gold has gone high. Allah knows best exactly how much it must be. लेकिन 40,000 dinar, every single one of them he spent in the service of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every single one of them. Whenever he would find there were slaves जो कमज़ोर थे, जिनके पास कबीला नहीं था, जिन पर जुल्म कर रहे थे, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he would purchase them slaves one by one, and he would set them free for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the people he freed was none other than Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu ta'ala, the muazzin of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He was the slave of Umayyah and Ubay bin Khalf. When he saw the amount of dhulm they were doing upon him, he said, let me purchase him. तो उनको पता था कि he's going to give money, तो उन्होंने एक price fix की. They thought, let us take advantage. Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, I will give the money. They go, no, more than this. So they increased it again a second time. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq ne farmaya, I will give you the money. So they increased it again. Eventually, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he paid such a hefty sum for Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu ta'ala an. At that time, Umayyah said that, I would have sold him to you for a fraction of this price. Yani, kam hissa mein, I would have given you to him. Lekin Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq ne farmaya that if you had asked for the valley filled with gold, yani isse 100 saal zyada bhi, yani 100 martaba zyada bhi pucha hota, I would be ready to give that to you. So Sayyidina Abu Quhafa, the father of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, उन्होंने कहा कि बेटा, you freeing all these slaves, ये सब गुलामों को आज़ाद कर रहे हैं, थोड़े जो ताकतवर है, the ones who are bit strong, उनको आज़ाद कर ताकि तुम्हारी मदद कर सके. They might be able to help you, they might be able to assist you. Why are you freeing all these weak ones, all these women, these old women and these weak slaves? So Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq ne farmaya, oh my father, I am not freeing them for my benefit, ताकि मेरा फ़ायदा हो. I am freeing these slaves for only one reason, and that is for the pleasure, the riza of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. सिर्फ रिज़ाए खुदा के लिए मैं ये काम कर रहा हूँ. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, and he was very, very instrumental in these stages in freeing people for the sake of Islam. अब क्या हुआ, क्योंकि जुल्म बढ़ता गया, तो at this point in the 5th year, the Muslims, they migrated to Habasha, Abyssinia, which is northwest of Africa. उन्होंने हिजरत की, ये पहली जो हिजरत थी, and they went. कुफार ने कोशिश की कि वो वापस आ जाए, लेकिन they were unsuccessful, नाकामयाब हुए. In total 101 बंदे ने, सहाबा किराम ने हिजरत की. They migrated to Abyssinia. This was the 5th year. So Quraysh पर, यानी they were very upset, they got very angry कि इस काम में नाकाम, they were unsuccessful. फिर 6th year में, in the 6th year Nabwi, 2 major people accepted Islam. Sayyidina Umar and Sayyidina Hamza radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. Now what happened? Because these 2 people had accepted Islam, the Quraysh, they were very, very upset. Ab hum kya kare? So they came together, the leaders of the Quraysh, and they made a plan to assassinate, to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. कि रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को शहीद करे. जब अबू तालिब को इसके बारे में मालूम हो गया, he took Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Banu Hashim out of Makkatul Mukarramah into a valley, एक वादी जो मक्कातुल मुकर्रमा के बिल्कुल करीब थी. He took them there. अब कुरैश ने कहा अब क्या करें? They have gone out of Makkatul Mukarramah and they are taking protection over there, and Abu Talib is protecting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. तो इन्होंने नया प्लान बनाया. They made a new scheme. The leaders of Makkatul Mukarramah, they came together. And उन्होंने कहा कि हम मुकम्मल तौर पे अब जो है boycott करेंगे उनसे. They wrote a contract, and in that contract they wrote 4 conditions. Number 1, उनके साथ बात नहीं करनी है, सलाम व कलाम कुछ नहीं, no socializing, no talking with them. The second one, munakihat, yani no marriage is going to take place. No one will give daughters in marriage to them, no one will take anyone to marry from them. Number 3, no one will do business with them, tijarat, ऐसा कुछ नहीं करना है. No buying, no selling, no business with these people. And number 4, no one will provide them with food or drink. कुछ खाना नहीं देना है, कुछ पीना नहीं देना है. No food, no drink will be given to them. So these 4 things were written. They wrapped this up in a box and they hung it inside the Kaaba. Now, for 3 years, the Muslims, they faced the hardships. For 3 years, they were in this position now. कुछ खाने का नहीं है, कुछ पीने का नहीं है, nothing. They are in the heat of the deserts of Makkatul Mukarramah. And they are surviving in this state, in this position. Now a question arises कि आखिर इन लोगों ने इतना जुल्म क्यों किया? Why were they doing so much oppression? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was calling them towards good things. He was calling them towards leaving idol worship, leaving dhulm, and he was calling them towards adl and justice. So why were these people so adamant, and why were they such, yani itni mukhalifat kyun thi? Why were they so big enemies of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So the reality is, the first and foremost one was, they didn't like the fact that unke jo baap or ajdad, with their grandparents, they were worshipping idols. और अगर उन्होंने मान लिया कि ये काम गलत है, then they would have to accept that their fathers and their grandfathers were wrong. So this was the first reason. The second reason, these people themselves were very, very vile people. They were not very good people. बहुत बुरे लोग थे. और वो जो काम कर रहे थे जाहिलियत में, they liked this. उनको पसंद था और वो नहीं छोड़ने चाहते थे. They didn't want to leave these things. This is the second reason. The third reason was they were very arrogant. They had a lot of kibr. They had a lot of fakhr. कि पहला, what did they say at the beginning? कि ये जो कुरान नाजिल हुआ, ये फरिश्ते पर क्यों नाजिल नहीं हुआ? Why did it get sent to a human? Hamare jaisa. They used to say this, ma'azallah, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's just like us. Why did he get sent to a human? It should have been sent to an angel. फिर जब उनको बताया गया कि अगर फरिश्ते पर नाजिल होता तो तुम कहते कि वो हमारे जैसा नहीं है, हम कैसे उनकी इत्तिबा करें? How can we follow him? They don't eat, they don't drink, they have so much strength and power. So when this was explained to them, then they came with another thing. They said कि ये लोग जिन्होंने इस्लाम कबूल किया ये तो बिल्कुल गरीब लोग हैं, एक गुलाम है, हम उनके साथ कैसे बैठे? How can we sit with these people? We are better than them. We don't want to be amongst these people. और एक वक्त ऐसा भी हुआ, they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया कि ये लोग हैं उनको अलग कर दे, remove these poor people, ये जो गरीब है ना, मिस्कीन है, उनको अलग कर दे, फिर हम इस्लाम कबूल करते हैं. तो Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया, this is not your father's religion that you can do whatever you want, that you exclude the poor people. In Islam, there's no haysiyat of these kinds of things. There's no consideration of these kinds of things. These people are the same as you. There is no difference between them and you in terms of Islam. So because of this, they exiled them out of Makkah al-Mukarramah. Ab kya hua? They were planning an assassination. So Abu Talib, he was really, really important in this. You know, he loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam so much. Itni muhabbati, he loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what he would do up to that extent, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam Sham ko, when he would lay down on the mattress to sleep, he would lift Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he would take him to another place and he would place his own son there. Khud unke jo bete the wahan rakhte. So nothing could happen to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how much love Abu Talib he had for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had sworn to protect him. Now, in this manner, they suppressed the Muslims. They would place guards ताकि कोई खाना उनकी तरफ ना जाए. And just in case they would try and buy the food which was coming in, they would go out of Makkah al-Mukarramah. Before the food could come, they would try and buy all of the food. If they could not do this, then they would say to the people, whatever you do, जिसको भी बेचना है, आप बेच सकते हैं. लेकिन मुसलमान do not do kharid and farokh, do not sell to them. If they could not do this, then they would say, ठीक है आपको, if you want to sell it, बेचना है, then make sure the price is very high. Because they have nowhere to go. So make sure you make the price very, very high. So they have nothing, they will pay the money, don't worry. Now in this time, there were some people who really supported the Muslims and the Banu Hashim. One of them was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. Again, he sacrificed much of his wealth to try and bring food into this valley, right? To try and support the Muslims. Another was Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. She sacrificed so much of her wealth. Itna maal qurban kiya. She would send Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala an he would go and he would try and find some food and he would buy food and he would come back. And sometimes she would send her nephew and he would go and he would bring food back. But asal mein, in reality, it was very difficult. It was a very difficult situation. And many a times they would go, Musalman, kai din, many days they would go with no food or no drink. Yahan tak ke, Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, who I mentioned, wo farmate hai ke one time it happened for 3 days, I had nothing to eat, I had nothing to drink. He says, I was bending over out of hunger. I went to answer the call of nature, or itni mein main kya dikhta hu? I saw the skin, the jild of an animal, what we call leather, which had dried out. To maine kya kiya? Usko pakaya. The skin of an animal, usko pakaya or usko khaya. Just so that I could stand up straight. Just so that I would not die out of hunger. The women, they would cook the leaves of plants in water and they would give it to the children to drink, just so they would stop crying for some time. But even then, Sham ke waqt, Makkatul Mukarramah, bacche ki rone ki आवाज, it would fill the streets of Makkatul Mukarramah. लेकिन फिर इतने सख्त दिल ये लोग थे, Abu Jahl and Walid bin Mughira, वो हंसते थे. They used to laugh and they used to mock them. Look, they're crying. This is how severe they were against the Muslims. This is how much enmity they had towards the Muslims, right? And Abu Jahl in particular, he had made it his mission. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया कि ये Abu Jahl है, इस उम्मत का फिरौन है. He is the Fir'aun of this ummah. He would make it his mission to oppress the Muslims. Now, आप पूछेंगे, why did he specifically have so much enmity? So the first thing is, look at this hasad, jealousy. Because he had proposed to Sayyidah Khadija and Sayyidah Khadija had rejected his proposal. And Sayyidah Khadija had married Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who in his eyes, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have money of this world, he was offended. How dare you reject my proposal and you marry a poor man? This is what he said. Ma'azallah, astaghfirullah. This was one reason. So hasad, this is a very, very evil trait, my dear brothers. When a person has hasad in his heart, wo dekhta hi nahi hai, he doesn't look at nothing. He's ready to do anything to hurt the other person. The second reason is he had a lot of pride, a lot of arrogance. Why was the Quran revealed on this person? Why not one of the jo sardar hai un par nahi? One of the leaders of Makkah and Ta'if. Why on this person? This was another reason. And the third reason, which one I want you to pay particular attention to, my dear brothers. Why was Abu Jahl so severe? He was from the Banu Makhzum tribe. And this was a very big tribe. Bada kabila tha. Aur wo sardar tha, he was a leader. अब उस ज़माने में क्या होता था कि जब कोई गलत काम करता था तो उसका कबीला उसमें भी सपोर्ट करते थे. जब हराम काम करते थे, the tribe wouldn't say to them, you are doing wrong. हम आपकी सपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे, मदद नहीं करेंगे. Even when they would do wrong, they would support them. तो ये हमारे लिए भी दर्स है. When somebody in our family, they do something haram, तो हराम में मदद नहीं करनी है. At that time, the best way to support them is take them out of the haram action. If you support them in haram, तो वो हराम में बढ़ते जाएंगे. They will increase in their haram. इसीलिए जब कोई कत्ल करता है तो इस्लाम में who has to give the blood money? किसको देना पड़ता है पैसा? The family from the father's side. Why did the person commit murder? Why did he kill someone? Because he knew that his family will support him. So इसीलिए when it comes to blood money, the paternal side of the family has to give the money. Do you understand? So this is one of the reasons why Abu Jahl was so arrogant and why he had so much mukhalifa with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he had the support of his tribe, the support of his qabila. Now, after this, 3 years passed in this state, where the Muslims were in Shib Abi Talib, the valley of Abu Talib. And the people, their sentiments, they were slowly starting to change. Some of the people, they were like, ye jo humne kiya hai, ye acha nahi hai. And slowly people started coming together. There was 5 people in particular from different tribes. Unme se later on, 2 ne Islam qabul kiya. And so this was happening on one side. And on the other side, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam par wahi nazil hui. He saw a dream in which he saw that ye jo inhone muahida banaya hai, contract, is being destroyed. वो ख़त्म हो चुका है. Some कीड़े, insects have eaten this contract. Or only the name of Allah has survived. Just the name of Allah has remained. So these people, they were mounting an opposition. And on this time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne khwab dekha. He informed Abu Talib. Abu Talib, he went. He said to Abu Jahl, ये जो contract है, मुआहदा है, is being destroyed. और अगर मेरे भतीजे ने झूठ बोला है, मैं खुद I will give him to you myself, because he knew Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam कभी झूठ नहीं बोलते. तो जब वो काबा मुअज़्ज़मा में गए, they opened the box, देखा, the contract had been destroyed. It had been finished. And so like this, after 3 years, the Muslims, they returned back into Makkah al-Mukarramah. The Banu Hashim, they returned back into Makkah al-Mukarramah. And you might think that this was the extent and this was the most difficult time. But the next year, the 10th year, was even more difficult. And this year was known as Aamul Huzn, which we will talk about. About पूछेंगे, why was so much difficulty? तो रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को पूछा गया, अय्युन्नास अशद्दु बलाअन या रसूलल्लाह. वो कौन से लोग हैं जिनको ज़्यादा तकलीफ होती है, who are afflicted with the most difficulty? तो रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने क्या फरमाया? Kuffar? Did he say the disbelievers? Did he say the fusaq? Did he say the people who commit sins? No. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne farmaya, al-anbiya. The prophets have the most difficulty. Meaning, the more beloved someone is to Allah, the more iman a person has, the more Allah will test that person. Allah will test that person. Again and again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test that person. Now we are in the month of Ramadan and we are fasting. Whilst we are fasting, I want you to think, whilst you feel the hunger, the pangs of hunger, think about what the Prophet ﷺ went through. Think about what the Muslims went through in these 3 years, inshaAllah ta'ala. And then think how fortunate we are. How lucky we are. that Islam has come to us so easy. These part-time Muslims we are. Right? In the morning we're Muslims, in the evening we're not. In the evening we're Muslim, in the morning we're not. Think about what the Muslims at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ had to go through in order to stay firm upon Islam. We make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may He forgive us for all of our major and minor sins. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His infinite mercy, shower His mercy and blessings upon us and our families. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us the ability to be firm upon Islam, to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ya Allah, give us all the understanding of the religion. Give us the ability to act upon Islam. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi wa nuri arshi sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arham.